You've all been asking for it, so here it is. Hello everyone, I'm HazzaJC, and welcome to my Masters London 2026 Swiss Pick'ems video. That's right, we're back for another Pick'ems. You know it, you love it, and I tell you what, we've really been feeling the love, man. Last few events now, really starting to put them together. We were 100% flawless in the last Swiss stage for Santiago. We'd already got Korea Champs 2024, Toronto 2025, missed Paris, but had GCC as well to round that one out. It's been a good run, and it's only fair we take a look at what it is that we're in to get for this one. Masters London, a home Masters, a Masters which I'm thoroughly looking forward to. We've got some new teams, some old teams, but let's get into that in just a bit. For a start, these are the rewards that we're playing for. Firstly, the Bossman title. Since I actually understand what this means, cultural dialect, Bossman is like, you know, your retailer, the established figure at your chicken shop, your corner shop, wherever it is that you're going. Maybe a senior figure to you or something. But we've got a Bossman title in the game. It's kind of cool. Then we've got the buddy, the ref buddy, a reference to football, of course, with the referee questioning their decision making. Kind of sad that it's not Phoenix, the one agent that we have in the game from London, but Sage seems to be pretty on brand with the theme of this event, leaning into what could potentially be a new map set in China as well. And here, for the top 20%, which is what we're going to be aiming for again, we have the golden version of that buddy. And the 100% title, as always, for anyone that gets perfect picks. We've got 4 teams to pick from. One of the teams we will have to select to go 2-0 in the Swiss stage, and you will earn bonus points if you're able to pick them correctly in Santiago. I selected Gentlemates and was rewarded for it in the end. We went double Americas with G2 and NRG. We also had Paper X. Some returning names there, but a couple of those now the first seed for this one. So it doesn't feel like there's really any bankers for us to go with out of the available options. But what I'm going to do is head through the preliminary round, the round which was drawn from the Americas broadcast, talk about each one of these games and see who I think at least is going to be favoured in this opening set of matches. Now, before we get into my thoughts on the first round, I would like to quickly announce to all of you formally that I will be streaming as much of Masters London as is possible. That will be split between me spending time at the venue, seeing you guys, so if you spot me, say hello, and recording some additional bonus content for you, such as player interviews and extra behind the scenes. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up with that. I'll also be live on Twitch, so give me a follow there if it's your preferred streaming service. I have created a leaderboard as well, so you can track your pick'ems alongside everyone else who's going to be joining along. The code for that will be in the description, so make sure to join if you're interested. Now, let's check out that first round. Starting off with our opening game, XLG versus NRG. Now, this is the second time that we have seen these two teams face this year. It was also the opening round of the previous Swiss stage in Santiago. NRG coming out as 2-0 winners there. The maps played including Abyss. Abyss removed from the pool, of course, so we're expecting something a little bit different this time around. And I think XLG will be hoping for that as well. When it comes to Masters events, the draws that they've had in the past have been pretty relentless, constantly facing America's teams, yet to face an opponent from another region. That trend obviously was bucked when we went to Paris in 2025, although they did still face Sentinels there. They were able to beat them. That was the difference. I think this time around, though, it's going to be equally difficult to best this NRG team. An NRG team which had an incredibly difficult run through the gauntlet of the lower bracket in Americas. They qualified from their group as the 4th seed, so it meant that they were immediately put at a disadvantage. But again, showing the tenacity and the quality that this roster has, even when we're in the midst of a Neon meta, consistently proving that they're able to play to their own strengths and not completely divulge, at least with the player quality that they have available to them. These are both teams which I expect to have fan favourites. On the XLG side, No Man, he is Welsh-British, so of course he has family in the crowd, and I think people will be very happy to see him. And Kiko, returning to another UK LAN for the first time since we had Polaris at the Red Bull Gaming Sphere back in 2023. South Londoner himself, I'm sure this event will mean a lot to him. And yeah, I'm excited to see what the crowd's reception is going to be for each of these teams and where the bias maybe lands. I know we've got a Fnatic fan section, for example. So maybe they're not going to want to see NRG to win. But back to this matchup specifically, and looking a little bit more towards the XLG side and what I think their potential win conditions could be if you want to see them win this opening game at the very least. Probably going to be looking at Raga specifically, at least through my eyes. A player with such a high ceiling, but not always showing full confidence in his own ability to reach that potential, consistently a factor that he's mentioned in interviews in CN from the matches that I've been able to catch from XLG. But when he gets going, he is really one of the best. And I think heading into a jet meta as well, that could suit him perfectly. We've seen XLG experiment with a few of their compositions. Their Lotus, for example, playing triple Sentinel with Sage, Deadlock, and Cypher, looked really good. But I'm expecting teams like NRG to be able to actually crack the theory behind that and approach it in a much more level-headed way than maybe some of the CN teams, which I don't think really made the necessary in-game adaptations or had the right preparation to anticipate those kinds of comps. So that's where I see NRG being much more well-equipped to deal with what XLG want to throw at them. I also think this is an NRG team which does scale really well. Of course, XLG still have fantastic players. Got to mention Happyway as well. I think he's been doing pretty damn well recently. Lysor too. But still, I have to lean towards NRG in this game. There's only so much I can hype up this XLG team, despite the fact that they have had pretty consistent qualification runs. I think if you look back, the only team to have done better than them is G2, and they're tied with PaperX for consistent qualifications, scaling all the way back to Masters Bangkok at the beginning of the previous year. So yeah, I'm going to go with NRG on this one. They'll get a leg up into that first game 1-0. Second matchup of the opening round is Vitality versus DRG, and for me, probably the most lopsided matchup that we're going to get, at least looking at it on the surface here on paper. DRG, the third seed from CN, and Vitality, in my eyes, should probably have qualified as the first seed from EMEA, looking at their final with Team Heretics. To talk about this Vitality team a little bit more, they had to overcome their demons, best them in the playoff bracket. I'm surprised they even made it to playoffs. They were relying on other teams to qualify for them. A loss for GX on the final day to Eternal Fire is ultimately what got them across the line, but you could see the confidence building from their result against Pacific in the final week of groups, and leaning more into the leadership structure of Yumpy and buying into that system where previously there was a plan that they weren't able to stick to, and I think that was one of freedom, that freedom breeding discontent and lack of trust overall. But now with Yumpy at the helm, I feel a lot more confident about this team. I think they have a pretty strong map veto coming up for them. Just looking at the teams that they're against as well, EMEA historically has had a very weak Pearl, but when you look at Vitality's Pearl, Sayonara being a leading name on the Phoenix, I think too, it fits really nicely for them, and that's a matchup that you're going to see sort of several times, a map that you'll see several times across the event for them. Of course, it wouldn't be fair to mention Vitality without the big names that they've got as well. Chronicle returning to the international stage from Champs Paris, and for Durka, a much longer wait, not since Bangkok. With Vitality previously did we see him there when they were able to finish in the playoff stage, and I think they'll be able to make it through Swiss here as well. Looking at this opening game, it does suit them pretty strongly, I would say. Another player that I do want to mention as well, of course, has to be Profek. I think that he leveled up massively towards the end of their campaign in Stage 1, and he's going to have to be a difference maker for them here. First international event for him and others as well. Sayonara, of course, as the sort of two rookies at this level of play. Not going to be easy, but I think against DRG, this is the opening matchup that you were looking for. To speak of the Chinese third seed here, I was kind of surprised that they qualified, actually, looking at it on the surface. DRG had a very interesting stage. They were basically one of the only teams globally from the first week to try and experiment with Mix when he was made available, the newest added agent to the roster. That didn't go very well, and it sort of lingered on my mind for a bit. I was wondering, like, DRG, what are we doing here? They had some fierce competition in JDG, Tyloo, I mean, even TEC looked at points like they were able to contest for that final spot, but through the lower bracket, they were able to surmount the competition in the end. They reached the expectations of this team, and they returned to another international event. Now, with DRG in the past, we have seen them short-handed. Vukashu has struggled with visa issues, and I don't know whether that's that's the case here or not, whether they'll have the full lineup. But if they are able to play around him, obviously he is an individual that can have some big moments and bring you to situations that you otherwise maybe wouldn't be able to win. DRG, of course, like a lot of other teams in CN this stage, have bought heavily into the Waylay and Neon combination, which we thought was going to be incredibly strong. After the nerfs to Waylay, though, and the instant cast of her Hinder being removed, they still continued to want to try and use this style as much as possible. And I wonder whether that's maybe going to hold them back a little bit here, where they need to make changes with Neon also now nerfed considerably. That's what I'm waiting to see. Whereas Vitality, you know that Durka prefers to play those classical duelists, your Raze, your Jet, and even has the ability to move on to Phoenix, which we probably expect from Sayonara instead. That clash is going to look a bit stronger for them. To dumb it down entirely, when I look at DRG, I think there are a few individuals there that can help you out, like Life and Spirits, but on the whole, Vitality, not only do they have the individuals, they've also got the experience, and you can now start to see that system around Yampi starting to come together. I think this is a pretty straightforward answer for me. I'm also going to go with Vitality in this opening round. Moving on to our third game then, Full Sense versus Foot, and I feel like this is almost the hardest one to call for me. Two very raw, very talented teams with mercurial aimers that just want to get in your face and want to take aim fights. Talking about Full Sense first, we have to be thinking of Primi, an individual who we have seen play in these global events before. It was previously with Talon alongside Cruz. I think that was back in Champs 2024. Cruz in the kickoff stage actually ended up dropping out of the team. He was the head coach. He came back in for stage 1 and now has finally been able to lead this Thai roster to the Holy Grail and get them back to a global event when they missed out on Champs at the end of last year. So it's been a really nice story for them. They've even got Sushi Boys in as the assistant coach as well. Another one of those historical names from Thailand which really possess a lot of talent. You're talking about Killua, Leviathan as well. They have so many great players. And I think finally being able to see them play in one of these Masters events is going to be really, really exciting. Primi is someone especially who we've been ranting and raving about for a very long time. I think the upcoming meta with the agents that we're looking at also going to favor him pretty heavily. But you're into a Foot team that can then match you for that firepower and probably have just a little bit more even themselves. The double duelist of Zeus and Sop has taken a little while to get going, but I think after those first couple of weeks, they really hit the ground running. And coming out of the group stage now into playoffs, they qualified, they did what they needed to do. We did see a drop-off from them into the final 3, but on the whole, I would say I'm pretty happy with their performance. Now, what made Foot so good? Bambino talked about it quite a bit on the most recent episode of the Wingman podcast, which is a podcast I'm usually part of. I was away on holiday, now I'm back. You can go ahead and check out that episode on one of the information cards in the corner or a link in the description below. He was talking, as their assistant coach, about how they like to try and play, and a lot of the time it's contacting into space and creating danger areas where you have to then invest bodies to re-clear and make that a problem. So for Full Sense, I think when it comes to their own attack macro, it's kind of a lot of the same, and that's where I'm wondering in this clash of styles, is it just going to come down to the raw duels? Foot actually do put quite a bit of thought behind what it is that they're doing. It's not just that Turkish stereotype of it's all aim, no brain. There are ways that they're trying to actively set up those players to succeed, and I think Sop has definitely shown as one of the players coming through the Ascension system in the last year to really possess a lot of talent and abusing the scoped weapons way more as well, kind of showing us a little bit more variety than what we've maybe been getting in EMEA previously. This Foot team, led by Sociable as a new in-game leader as well, at least in a Turkish environment, or in a tier 1 environment, I should say, not in a Turkish environment. This is something which he hadn't previously done, but is already looking really strong on some of those mid-rounds. This is a really tough one to call because where I spoke about Foot dropping off in the top 3 in that finals weekend with the qualification already sealed, we kind of saw a bit of the same from Full Sense as well. They cruised through the upper bracket, and when they got into that final match against Paper X, it did feel like the floor fell out beneath them a little bit. I think they do have a really high potential ceiling, but when I consider some of the ideas that this team is bringing forward, maybe I don't believe in them as much. It's hard to say, but I think I'm going to go with what I previously said when I was talking about Full Sense, and I believe that they will win this game, actually. I'm going against Foot, I'm going against EMEA. Do I beat the bias accusations? Who knows? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, of course. But yeah, I'll go with Full Sense on this one and move on to our final game. Last up then, of course, it is LEVIATAN versus Global Esports. Nice to see Lev back at an international event. A bit of time since they were last at one of these. And for Global Esports, well, it's a completely brand new roster, and it's the first time that the organization have ever hit the global stage. Pun very much intended, but there is quality there, and there are players who have been in this position before, notably Patman. Of course, you've got Autumn as well from his time on FPX, but with Patman winning a Masters trophy before when he was on Paper X, I think it's sort of plain to see the experience that he brings here. On the left side, you've got King as well. He's been in these situations before, led this LEVIATAN organization to a top 3 at Champs in 2024, missing out on that one through lowers against Heretics, and eventually, of course, EDG going on to win. But still, an incredibly strong team, and having brought in some young firepower, players like Spike and Sato, who have looked absolutely fantastic from their time on 2G and actually with LEVIATAN last year in the case of Sato. I'm really excited about this team. I think this team should be considered a dark horse for a lot of people. They pushed G2. We've seen how good they can be. They've shown us flashes of brilliance. It's just about making that a little bit more consistent. And I think with it being such a young team as well, there is obviously a lot of pressure on those players stepping into this environment for the first time. It's nothing like the Americas stage, the studio stage, which they'll have been used to over the last, few months, years now, I guess, for some of these players. But that's where you want to see King really step up and rally the troops. So I suppose for Lev, it's always going to be a question of, are they able to stand up to the occasion, or do they melt under the lights? That's really how I see this one going, because in terms of talent, I think there's nothing stopping this team from going on a dark run and a deep run and making it through playoffs as well. Looking on the Global Esports side of things, I do have my concerns about this team, and this was something brought up by Big Time as well from that same Wingman podcast. Kind of helps when you have multiple previous coaches or current coaches of these teams to give their insight. But Global Esports, to him, and I think to me as well, have always been a team really good with their preparation. Frost playing a huge part in that, coming into the team this year to help set them up. Playing a lot of off-piste comps, seen them happy to run with the deadlock at times, completely switch up what they want to go for to try and counter an opponent. Maybe that's where they gain a bit of ground against Lev here in the opening match, where they know what this matchup is going to be. But then you're banking a lot on this one game in particular, right? If GE end up losing this opening match, that puts them in a really difficult situation, having to win 2 back-to-back with little time to get ready for those games. And I'm not sure if that turnaround time is going to be great for them or not, when, they like to play the weekly matches, they like the structure that provides. GE are a fantastic team, and I think players like Harvey coming up from the last year as well, Crystal in Pacific specifically after his stint in CN, have shown the bounds of potential that they have. Yudotan as the sole Korean representative, where we don't have any Korean teams from Pacific for the first time, is also another fantastic player, and I think going into a Jet meta again could definitely suit him pretty nicely. But how strong are Pacific? Are Pacific as strong as they were in Masters gone by? That's what I'm wondering, because when we're talking about it being a region that has dominated these mid-season events historically, it has been the Korean teams. Think back to your Gen Gs, your T1s, all of the names that we've seen over the years lift the trophy. Nongshim most recently, as they crash and burned coming out of Santiago. I think I might lean towards Lev on this one, honestly. I think they've just got a little bit more than GE for me, and seeing what that drop-off also looked like for GE in the latter stages of Pacific as Paper X rose above everyone else as they're expected to do, it kind of leaves a bit of a sour taste in the mouth. So I think that's my sort of final setting on this one. I'm going NRG, Vitality, Full Sense, and Lev. Let's move on, though, to who I think is going to advance, because that is a completely different question entirely. Our 2-0 pick, the one to give us the bonus points. We will come back to that in just a moment. But to start off, let's lock in the first team that we think is going to make it through. I think Vitality going 1-0 against DRG puts them in a pretty comfortable position to clean up in those last 2 games. So I think they're going to be my first log. Second pick coming through here. I also think, you know, going 1-0, pretty strong position. Let's go with Lev. Let's get another America's team in there as well. Another America's team. Is that a bit of a spoiler? I think I want to put NRG in here too. Now, the question is, I've left one open, and I might even want to switch up which one of these it is that goes in. The question is, who do I end up picking? Because right now it's looking pretty even across the board, I guess, right? We've got 1 EMEA team, 2 America's teams. Am I going to qualify a team from Pacific? You know what? I think I am. I want to put Full Sense maybe through as well. Do they have what it takes though? I don't know, guys. I'm starting to doubt myself a little bit here. Give me a moment just to think about this one. We do it all on the fly. We do it live on the HazzaJC channel. I'm not going to lie, guys. I've tried to crunch the numbers, but at the end of the day, it's all a bit of RNG, isn't it? Whoever you end up getting in those next games is completely down to chance. If I had to make a prediction, I think what will happen is Vitality and NRG both win their games. They'll get pulled against each other. Then I think we'll probably get Full Sense Lev. Who wins out of Full Sense and Lev? That picks my final team. I'm going to go with NRG at least as the first one in here. Vitality to qualify as well. I've got Lev. And I guess I just put Full Sense in there too. I don't know. Maybe I'm underrating Foot a little bit. I think Foot, out of all of the teams here, probably possess the highest potential to go ahead and qualify out of this group. I mean, even XLG have strength. The only team I'm not fully set on is probably DRG, guys. So let me know in the comments, who do you think's going to make it through? Is this my final 4? Am I happy with this? Am I going to change this? I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Last time, I put an EMEA team 2-0, only EMEA team, which I put in my top 4, and they progressed. That was mates. It's another French team this time. Let's go with Vitality and have NRG in as one of our other teams that maybe lose a game along the way. You can have 2-0 teams at the end of the day. Depends what the draw looks like. That is the luck of it. I think NRG have had a little bit less time to get ready for this one. Maybe some potential burnout creeping in there with other qualifiers, Lev 2. So this is what I'm going to go with. You know what? Sure. Vitality, NRG, Lev, and Full Sense. We'll back the boys this time around. This is what I'm going to go with. So, was I right? Was I wrong? Let me know in the comments section. Reply with your answers. Of course, I am going to be streaming plenty of Masters London, so stay tuned to the channel and the streams as well. I've been HazzaJC. Once again, thank you so much for your support, and I will see you all in London. Take care, and goodbye for now.